agree.
I've tried.
Why would you try to have
Very
sex with a
tiny.
chicken?
Um, I want to make an ostrich.
Your neck isn't long. I can barely see it. Yeah,
Size chicken, then. Think of the size of them eggs. Size of them eggs, Travis.
I think that would be very inappropriate for the chicken. I
Oh
don't
my
think the egg
goodness.
size would change.
You don't think so? If the chicken
No.
was the size of you don't think it would lay a bigger egg?
Okay, if the chicken was the size of me, it'd definitely lay a bigger egg, but there's no chickens this size.
That's what I'm saying. If you're busy getting busy with the chicken, it's like the Disney cartoon, like the Chicken of the Future, where they cross the chicken with the centipede, and you get like 100 chicken or 200 chicken legs. Like you cross a chicken with a man, and then you get a chicken the size of a man, and it lays an egg the size of your head, or the
I
size of a baby.
I don't know what you're talking about. So why not just have a baby? Then you won't have to go through the
Because
whole
apparently you're
process.
not allowed to eat. Apparently, not allowed to eat babies,
Not in this
except for
country.
chicken babies, which are delicious. Chicken babies are the best. Duck
They're
babies
not
are
even
equally good.
they're not even chicken babies. They're just
They're duck
abortions.
babies. They they're like in the middle. Cornish hens are just like baby chickens. They're just like, oh, you're 4 months old.
Just
Wow,
like what
that's
we
a
do with
mean way
beer.
to start. That's right. That's what we do with magic. Hey here, no good. Like, oh, look our little baby's 1 year old, and it's gonna make awesome little Nope. Oh, that's just how the Pokemons work. Yep. And then you shake them out, and the candy falls out.
Yep, because
So
Pokemon are just like real babies.
before,
If you hit them with a
that's
bat,
right.
they won't like you.
So I started writing, not like really writing, but like outlining. Let's call it outlining a story. Um, like we do a rip of a whole bunch of different things, like parodies of a bunch of different movies, but we use Pokemon instead of the characters, right? So you should definitely keep hitting the microphone while you brush your beard. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's why I
So
moved it.
so we have Bulbasaur as uh, James Bond, right? And then we do like a ripped of, except you launch the Super Ultra Ball, which is totally gold, into outer space to catch all the Pokemons at once. And they have the bad guy be Dr. Ketchum. And then you have like scientists that run around or like the Mario characters, and they're working at the giant satellite, except they're loading it into the big green pipe to shoot it. And oh no, I think it'd be sweet. By the way, that's where we're gonna start the show. None of that abortion stuff's gonna make it into the show,
No, I think it should.
except for that bit right there.
I think it'll be funnier that way.
So, welcome to this week's episode of Two Trolls and a Brew, a podcast about Magic the Gathering
And not D&D.
and trolling people, and not D&D. No D&D in this episode whatsoever. 52 Puzzle Knot Reservoir, subtitled Our Love Child is One. Our love child is one. This is our baby.
Yeah.
We got together and had brain sex, and now we have a podcast.
Which is exactly why we were talking about eating children.
Exactly. Because it's so full of delicious knowledge.
I'm going to force you to keep all the abortion crap in.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see. As always, you can check out the raw footage at youtube.com/SamusGarobo. If you'd like to see the funny faces Travis makes, or the animations that I make where eating babies, or you want to just see Travis because it's very pretty today.
I'm actually wearing a shirt for once.
shirt. That is very nice. No man nipples on camera to this week. And it
Well, I
looks
mean,
like you recently shaved your head. We can see your turtle tattoo.
oh yeah. I was just gonna say it started snowing, and we don't want to turn the heater on yet because it's only 32 degrees, so it's not that cold yet. So we're fine without
That's
the
what
heater.
I feel too.
Last year we
Freezing
didn't
is
turn it on.
just a state of mind.
Last year we didn't
You
turn the
guys
heater
just
on at all.
cuddled for warmth.
Nah, we just used a blanket.
Oh, everyone cuddled. One
No,
big naked family.
individual blankets.
Oh, that's awkward. You're all
Well, 'cause
naked
we used
together in your
what?
individual blankets.
Yeah,
Still
sure.
very awkward.
We were all
Well,
eating
shout.
Doritos.
Let's kick this show off right with some magic content. How was your draft this week?
That was pretty
Was it
bad.
good? Mine
Nope.
too. Would you like to know why mine was so bad?
Because you did it.
It's full of synergies, and I don't think this is necessarily a format where synergy is greater than tempo. I think this is probably going to be a tempo, and a synergy deck will just lose
Yep.
unless you get the tempo deck to stall out. But no, this week, what I'm going to start calling the USS Bill Clinton. And that is the Sky Sovereign console flagship. And you want to know why it's the USS Bill Clinton?
Well,
Because it put it in me without asking.
first of all, uh, I want to stop you really quick. I think all of the vehicles need to be named after celebrities because eventually,
I saw this. Go ahead, keep going.
well, eventually, all the vehicles are just gonna run into things. So, I mean, we might as well name them after famous people, like the.
Okay. So, what if we called Sky Sovereign? Give me a second here. I'm trying to think of the right name. The USS John Denver.
Oh yeah, that's great, John Denver. Yeah, I approve of that one.
All right, so we'll change it to the USS John Denver here. USS John Denver. All right, boom, done. Okay, so it it hit me really hard, really bad, and it stuck it in my naughty place. And my son in round 4, I had already gone 2-1. He had gone 2-1. Basically due to again, kind of has. Whoa, that was a big one.
Yeah, it was.
That was a big one. So basically, I had lost to the aggressive red deck, where by turn 6, I had 3 lands or 2 lands, and my opponent had 6 lands. Creature basically every turn after turn 1, and I was just like, seems good. Like I kept like 3 1-drops. Like I had a bunch of the turtles, and I thought the turtles would just be able to hold the ground. But he block and do damage. Use a burn spell to finish your turtle. I'm like, okay, seems good. And that just happened a whole bunch of times. Then he just beat me to death for like at a time. So I lost to the mono red deck. But Remington, we kind of had this interesting game. We're going back and forth. I had the massive synergy, and he had just really powerful cards that we'll kind of touch on in a little bit. And he's just like, airship? I'm like, okay. Crew my airship, attack you, lightning bolt your flying blocker. Okay, 6 like when you lightning bolt the blocker out of the way every attack step, it's real good.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but free lightning bolts are good. So he did that to me 2 games in a row, just flagship me right out of the game. He also used a creature that I think is much better than people are giving it credit for. Gear Seeker Servant.
What's that?
Um, so Gear Seeker Servant is a 7-drop, a blue, and 5 for a, but it essentially has affinity for artifacts.
Oh, right. Okay.
Cost as
That's
little
great.
as 2,
That's
and
great.
then for 5 generic and a blue this turn. So I wanted to pick up 1 in the draft as a win condition. I had, like I said, I had this really great synergy deck. I didn't think I could lose, but it would be really complicated to win the game. Well, so I thought, well, these are commons. I'll have another crack at one. Remington took all of them, and he
Shocking.
played all of them. But he's like artifact, make 2 artifacts, make an artifact, play this guy like on turn 3.
Yeah.
What? This is insane. And you think it's like the one that says defender, but it's not. It just can be unblockable for a bunch of mana. So basically this thing most of the time is probably like a 4 mana 5/6.
Yeah.
This card is just insane if you have the right deck for it. And Remington's deck was just like Remington lost to the deck that took every single piece of removal and basically had no win condition except for like one or like steal your dude. I'll trade my artifact for your artifact and beat you to death, or your thing and beat you to hard. Essentially was the win condition of this deck. But it was good. So yeah, I don't know. Between just giant dudes getting the job done, beating up the synergy deck, and little dudes overrunning the synergy deck, I just think the synergy deck is not good enough.
No, it's really not.
You
Like,
were going to tell me about your... Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say,
I got a little bit of lag.
yeah. Well, deal with it. Uh, I was just gonna say, from what I learned drafting, you basically can't have a synergy deck this go around. It
I mean, you
has to be
can.
an
It's
aggro,
just...
or not aggro, but
Yeah, I
tempo.
just don't think it's going to be good enough.
Because I had a deck that had synergy, it just could never capitalize on it.
See, in my deck, and we can look at it here just for a second, was synergy deck, right? So I built the deck around the deck decoction module. Is that how you say that? The one that whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you get an energy, and you can spend 4 mana to bounce it back to a creature back to your hand.
Yeah, decoction.
Decoction module. So it's built around that guy and taking advantage of things like Sage of Shala's Claim. That's a 2/1 for 2 mana. When it enters the battlefield, you get 3 energy. Turtles. Things like High Spire Artisan to go wide or put 1/1 counters on your guy. Multiform Worker. This card, by the way, was insane for me. Did so much work. Or sorry, Multiform Wanderer. Comes into play. You can pay some energy to gain your choice of a bunch of abilities, and then you can also pay an energy to make it gain power, lose toughness, or lose power and gain toughness.
Right.
That guy was really good. Things like Armorcraft Judge. I don't know if you've read this card, but this card is absolutely bonkers. Read this card?
No.
It's a generic. There's 3 generic and a green for an elf artificer. It's for a 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card for each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter.
Okay.
I was often playing this guy and drawing like 3 cards. Absolutely bonkers. And then things like I had 2 or 3 Fairgrounds Trumpeter, and it says whenever a creature, at the end of turn, if you put a 1/1 counter on a permanent you control, this guy also gets a 1/1 counter. So I had this Captain Synergy deck, and I just couldn't overcome the raw tempo that was going on. Also, I had 1 Whirler Virtuoso, which was absolutely insane when you got it to work. So like I had situations where I had the decoction module out, I had that guy out, and I was like, make a thopter, get an energy, make a thopter, get an energy, return my 2-1 back to my hand, play it, make 3 energy, start the chain all over again.
Right.
A bunch of dudes. I was really pleased with it when everything worked. The problem is that a disruption and you were basically like
SO.
or tempo play. You were so I don't know. I thought it was a good example of what to do in sealed, but not what to do in draft. And I think that's going to be an important distinction. In this format, you can do all sorts of crazy stuff in where the tempo matters less than um, the synergy.
Right.
But you this is definitely a tempo based format. Super super strong. Anyway, how did you do in your draft besides sucky?
I went 0-3.
Nice.
That's
Congratulations on your flawless win.
the first time that I think I've ever done that awful, but I'll take it. A win is a win, even when you don't do it.
You can't go any place but up this week. I guess you
Right,
could stay
right,
the same.
exactly. Uh, I just I thought I drafted a good deck because this black green it had all the synergy that I could ever want, and then nothing happened, so that was fun. But yeah, I mean, there's really not much to say. It was just absolute garbage.
So I have a question. Your tables, are the gold cards getting snatched up super early?
What do you mean the?
Like normally you can count on a gold card to table,
Oh, the yeah.
at least in pack 1 and sometimes in pack 2 because people haven't necessarily looked into their
No, um,
no gold cards are tabling.
I think I saw maybe one gold card table, and that was the black green, the one that gives neg 2 to all creatures without counters. It costs 4 mana.
Okay. That seems insane. Why would anyone pass that if you're anywhere near those 2 colors?
I don't know, but they that card tabled, but that's the only one that I saw table. Everything else was just taken.
Yeah, and I don't understand that at all. That's
I think it's
getting into
because
a gold card is so tough.
I don't think it is because you have cards like Prophetic Prism and at common and Aether Hub at uncommon, so you have land fix easily.
Like there's a little bit, but there's those two. I think you have like one green sorcery that makes you 2 instants and go gets a basic land, and then you have a 2/2 that uses energy to fix mana, and that's it. Like 4
Right.
cards in a set. Now,
Not
granted,
bad.
like 3 of them are common,
Plus you have the dual
and
land.
1 of them is uncommon. Yeah, you potentially have the fast lands also. Like I had a fast land. That's one of the reasons I moved into that color combination, where I felt like I could. But yeah, I don't know. It feels weird.
I
One,
mean, they're really
you
good
could
cards.
trust they are, but they're not. They're not as high as some of the other gold cards have been in the past. But some of them are super tight. Flyer for like 5 that gains you 2 life and draws you 2 cards.
Hell yeah, that card's great.
Like if you're either one of those 2 colors, you just have to take that card
Right.
because you're not going to get another chance at it.
Nope.
Like if say you open a good rare, right, or even a mediocre rare, and the pack is or the pack. Let's just say the rare is gone, and you have the 2/3 flyer that's white, and a generic with lifelink and vigilance and all that crap,
Right.
and you have that other guy, like you're in an impossible situation because you're not going to get both of those cards back, or you're not going to get the other one. One you're going to get, and the other one's just gone. You might as well just throw it in the trash.
Right.
Where normally you could count on the gold card pack one and the first couple of picks going around the table. But now it's just gone. It's same thing with so many of these other cards that would normally go around, like that huge, that serpent, like I said, Gear Seeker Serpent. Normally that would go around the table. They're just gone.
So
People are
here's
like, well, no, I can play this guy for 4 mana. It's
here's
insane.
here's my plan for next week, based off of our conversation that we just had. Right now,
Okay.
I'm just gonna force 5 colors and see how it works.
Okay. Well, I think I'm going to go as close to mono blue slash artifacts as I can and just plan on having
The
as aggressive
serpent
as I can.
whales.
I'm going to take all of those serpents I can. I'm going to take every one of those 2/1s for 2. I'm going to take every single for 3 with prowess. I'm just going to take all that stuff, crazy blue spells, and just try to get there.
Right.
And just try. Like, I'm not going to take things like the turtles. I'm not going to try to take other things like the mill guy, although I did mill a one person out that I had to win that way
Isn't it
because of the goat.
isn't it
Oh
such
god,
a
it
good?
was such a slow, long, boring game too.
Right.
Like I
But when we
thought I
got
had
there,
won, but then he just like played that thriving goat and got it big enough that I couldn't attack through it. Like I had 6 dudes and I couldn't attack through this stupid goat.
right?
Have any other win condition? I'm like, how am I gonna win this game? And I drew like 10 extra cards too. Like I was so far ahead on my opponent. And I just had to, that was my only way to win. I got there, thankfully, very at the last minute. Like I think we ran out of time and I won out on turn 4. I milled his 3 cards and then on my turn I milled him again and ate the rest of his cards and passed him the turn.
Nice.
Yeah, so I mean the game wins. It's a weird format.
Yeah, it really is. I really like this format. It's just obscure.
Well, and I think once I start watching some draft videos, excuse me, I watch some draft videos and I think I'll get it. Like I just haven't crunched enough drafts myself, so I'm gonna have to consume other people drafting. I think to figure it
Right.
out to get a better handle on it. But I mean, at least my shop is so different compared to what I've seen other people draft. I don't know. So shall we do troll cards this week, brother?
Let's do it.
Troll card is going to be the decoction module, which we've already talked about.
Yeah.
There's very few cards in the world that scream, and this is one of them. So everyone knows my favorite card is Mystic Snake and Pinnavis
Oh, that's what I
and
need to
stuff
talk.
like that. And this is a card that lets you recycle those come into play triggers. And you get some upside of having energy. So like this is got to go into my ally deck that I'm working on for my Aether. What is it? Aether not reservoir or something, whatever the reservoir is. That has to go in there because I have to rely on cards like the Aether hub to 4 or
Just get
5 colored darts. Yeah. So I have to have it. And it's amazing. Like every format I've seen it played in so far, it's good and limited. Like block and bring my guy back, or recycle my into the battlefield triggers, or save it from a removal spell, or just get that extra energy you need to make something awesome happen.
right.
And it's good in sealed for all the same reasons, and it's good and limited for all, or constructed for all the same reasons.
It's an
I'm absolutely floored by this card.
Yeah, it's oh, I think the module is gonna be one of the standout cards. If it's if it goes anywhere with the Pro Tour this weekend, it's just gonna hold the most value that we've seen in a while.
Well, and I don't necessarily know that they will. Um, I think there'll be some. I think that Zendikar block is really going to show off this go around.
Yeah,
Zendikar, Innistrad, and Kaladesh for this Pro Tour. And why there's so much really cool stuff, I think the big Eldrazi's are just going to continue to hold the.
hold the field.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably going to be like a really good aggressive red deck, but I just think that if they can't kill off the Eldrazi deck fast enough, I think the Eldrazi decks are still just going to stick around the Eldrazi um, control decks. Like, oh darn it, it's turn 5. Here's my uh
Here's my anything.
um
Uh, Reality Smasher.
the reality smash. Well, we don't have reality smasher on turn 5. I mean, you want to play reality smasher on turn 4, but yeah, just like I think it's just going to be insane that these decks are going to be, and you're also going to you don't even lose. Like you can do 4-color colorless now or 5-color colorless with
Yep.
things like the ether vials, and all the things that all the colorless things that make energy. Like you can just play whatever you want. So you might as well play the colorless stuff. Anna, what's your bet? What's your bet for this Pro Tour real fast? Way.
Um,
Like what do you kind of expect to see as the top deck?
I think there's going to be some sort of a green black um, delirium deck that's going to be good, like an aggro delirium. For some reason, I think that's going to be a thing.
What do you think about like the Emmercool Delirium decks? You think that those? I mean, they'll probably still be a thing, but do you think they'll be better than any of this artifact cuteness?
I don't think they're going to be any better because there's not really anything that enhanced it. I think they're still going to be there, but I don't think they're going to be better. I mean, granted, there is that one card that gives you the potential to play Emrakul on turn 4 or whatever, but that's like a glass cannon deck.
Well, I mean,
I mean, glass.
those sometimes those kind of things go to
Yeah, I
work,
was gonna say. I mean, glass cannon works because look at Summer Bloom.
right? I mean, if you're taking out your opponent when you fire off, then
Yeah,
consistently enough to win 2 out of 3 games,
right.
then and if anyone can make that kind of stuff work like that, it's the pros.
Or
And you're
Tyler.
or Tyler. So you're putting yourself on like, aggressive delirium deck, and I'm saying some sort of like Eldrazi.
Yeah, but I think we're all gonna be really surprised when my deck takes everything down.
Yeah, I
Mainly
mean there
because
could
I
be
haven't
something
shared
weird.
it.
Oh, your skits in your sweet deck, and we want to put out a little bit of teaser for it, but not too much. So what's your troll card this week?
So my troll card really got all of my opponents off guard, which is why it's the troll card because the deck that I'm working with or that I'm working on right now is an Aether Flux Reservoir. And everybody knew I was going to do that at the shop because they saw that and they're like, "Oh, pay 50 life? That seems like something stupid Travis would do." So they knew I was going to do that. So they were just waiting for the combo pieces to happen. And one of the dudes I was playing, he was playing a zombie deck. So he just starts discarding all the removal spells because he's like, "All right, well, I know you have low costing artifacts, and I haven't seen any creatures yet." So he's just discarding them. And then I played 2 Foundry Inspectors. And he's like, all right. After that, I just played all the puzzle knots that I have. for free and the prisms for free and just got that count going. And he goes, all right, so a single creature is what fuels your combo.
I
I mean,
mean, sort of. Like it helps. I
oh
mean,
yeah,
casting cost artifacts and make them one, it's really good. If you make them zero, it's very, very good.
right.
But like, I don't know. Should we get into the nuts and bolts of your deck real fast?
Yeah, let's do it.
Go ahead and share my page here for everybody. So Travis, go ahead and tell us about this thing.
Uh, so basically, someone sent me an idea. It was all based around the reservoir, but they had like I don't know 5, 6 different combos in there that would all go off separately, and I thought that was stupid. But then I started looking through all the crap, and it began with Aetherflux Reservoir and Panharmonicon. Uh,
Okay.
I took out the Panharmonicon, so you don't need to
Okay.
look
Gonna
for
say I'm like I don't see that anymore,
it.
but
Yeah. And then because the Panharmonicon, it triggered off of the Filigree Familiar and all of the puzzle knots and the prism. So,
correct.
I would, when that came in, I'd gain 4. I guess the Gear Hulk would let me cast 2 instants from my graveyard. Uh,
It
and
would.
then, yeah, because when it enters, it triggers the Panharmonicon. So it
Correct.
would enter, and I get to choose 2 instants in the yard, but I mean, the only 2 instants in the deck don't really work well together.
Right.
So I eventually realized that I need to have creature removal, so that's why I put Engulf the Shore in there.
Well, how about we do this? How about we start at the beginning? Let's just run through this deck as it's kind of listed here, okay?
Okay.
Because you're kind of
It's
jumping
the
around in the explanations, but
yeah.
let's
That's
let people
because
know
my
what's in
mind
here.
doesn't work right. Uh,
Fine. That's why we're gonna put some order to this thing.
okay. So the creature base, I got the Filigree Familiars. 3
Okay.
cost 2/2, gain 2 when it enters. Draw a card when it's dead. So it's a good little puppy.
That's right.
Uh,
It gains you 2 life and draws you a card when it dies. Okay.
yeah, yeah. The Foundry Inspector, it costs 3. It's a 3/2 that makes my artifacts cost 1 less.
Right.
That's the main combo piece. Uh,
Right. Making
Otherwise,
every spell in your deck 1 mana less.
is really, really important.
Most of your cards. Okay.
The Torrential Gearhulk, again, it has flash. It's a 5/6 that can potentially, but if they let it go on this long, I already win. But it can potentially cost 2. But when it enters, you cast an instant from your graveyard without paying its mana, and then exile it. So it's a really fun card.
Correct.
Then we got the Puzzle Knots. We got the Glass Blowers, which gives me energy. Uh, I wasn't really sure what I was doing with the energy, but after playing some games, I have sideboard that I'm gonna work with to try and make the energy work for me.
Okay.
But the
Well, I
Scry,
mean, you're probably using it currently for the Aether Hub.
right, right. But even then, all my stuff is blue or colorless, so the Aether Hub really doesn't do anything. Uh, uh,
Keep
Except
going.
for, well, it activates the puzzle knots, I guess. But yeah, the
Yeah.
Scry and get 2 energy. And then the Metal Spinner is draw a card. Let's ignore the
Sure.
lose 1 life part. Then the other puzzle knot is the Woodweaver's puzzle knot, which that one gains me 3
Okay.
life and gets me 3 energy. So really just gain 3 life. And then the Prophetic Prism, uh, mana fix for a mono blue deck and drawing a card. Mainly the drawing a card. And all of those artifacts cost 2 mana. So that's 16 spells that cost 2 mana. And then after that, we have the Wind Condition, which is the Aetherflux Reservoir. Now, this one, I have a question on this.
Okay.
So, does it count the spell count before you even cast it?
No,
Okay.
right? Well, it does. It does. It keeps track of what the spell is each turn. So if you cast the Ether Flux Reservoir all that turn, that would obviously doesn't matter because you're not going to gain life. But if you cast the next spell, then that would be spell 2.
Okay. So let's say I cast two Foundry Inspectors and then the Reservoir, and then I cast another spell after that. Would that count it as spell 4?
Yes.
Okay, so immediately I would just gain 4 life.
Yes.
Oh man, we've been doing. I did it wrong all last night.
Because
Oh well.
it's not counting the spells.
Right, it's
It's
counting.
checking to see what spell it is.
Right. Okay. Well, at least now I know I could have won a lot more games last night.
Okay, and then you're running Engulf the Shore as a defensive card.
Yes. Engulf the Shore's defense and Paradoxical Outcome is also well, that one is just pick up cards and draw cards. Plus, it can also save the Foundry Inspectors, and
It's
that's like it's the most blue card you've ever seen.
like save everything, draw a bunch of cards.
Yeah, like so.
If your spells are free,
Yeah, like one of
then
the games I was playing last night, I picked up 8 cards and then drew 8, and then I just
and then you
cast them
just
all
what
again for free.
replayed those 8 again for free.
Yeah,
Yeah, it seems pretty strong. Seems pretty strong. So your land base here, you're rocking 4 Aether Hubs, 2 Gaia Reach
Sanitarium.
Sanitariums,
Yeah.
1 Adventurers Fair, and 16 islands. Why not like 2 Inventors Fair?
Well,
Are these numbers correct?
uh, I don't know. Um,
Okay.
like the
Honesty,
Gaia,
it's awesome.
yeah, like the Gaia Reach, it's great for filtering because sometimes this deck does falter, and it's a combo deck, so I'm gonna need to draw, and if I can't cast anything, I'm gonna want to filter. Uh, so that's why there's 2 of those. And then the Inventor's Fair, it really doesn't. The gain life isn't really relevant in this deck, uh,
Sure.
because it's just 1.
But to me, I think the important part of this card would be this spend 4 to go tutor.
Right.
If you have the 3 artifacts, which you're probably always going to have, because with the exception of your Engulf the Shores and Paradoxical Outcome, everything's an artifact. Like
Right.
Aether Flux Reservoir or more Foundry Inspectors.
Yeah. Nah, yeah. Like I'm not disagreeing, but I don't know. Last night when I was playing, play testing with it, it seemed incredibly underwhelming because of how well I can already set up the deck with the glass blower, and how well I can draw with the metal spinner and the prism and the sanitarium and the outcome. Like that's 4, 8, 12. That's 12 spells and 2 lands that let me draw, plus 4 spells that potentially lets me scry 4.
Yeah, I like the idea. I'm just asking because I mean I've always put in. If you have the opportunity to put in more tutor, I've almost always erred on the side of having pseudo copies of more cards of my key cards in my deck.
Right.
So
Makes sense. I
here's
mean,
some questions.
I could definitely try it on Thursday and Friday. And here's the answer. Yes, I am running
So
it on states on Saturday.
okay, sweet. Huh?
Huh?
We have some works to do
Yeah,
between
yeah.
now
That's,
and then.
that's why I'm playtesting it on Thursday and Friday.
Okay. So now my question comes down to like, do we want to keep the combo in the sideboard, or do you want to do something nutso in the sideboard? Like, I feel like this is the deck. If you're ever going to have a deck that you want a transformational sideboard, this is up there.
Well, the only thing that hurt me last night in playtesting was aggro. If they have a tempo deck, my deck wins. If they have a control deck, my deck wins. Um, if they have like a mid range deck, my deck just wins. The only thing that got me was aggro. So I'm thinking uh, in the sideboard, I just need not necessarily creature removal as much as just slowing it down. Like that
Yeah,
enchantment, the one drop enchantment that their creatures come into play tapped, and I gain a life every time they get a creature, and then fumigate, so that way I destroy all creatures and gain one life for each one. Uh, so that's what I was thinking for
right.
the side.
So this is what my thought process was, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, or maybe you can try it a little bit. I don't know. Um, but I feel like this is the deck that you just want to fill up with the vehicles, the cheap, aggressive vehicles,
I don't have enough creatures for
and
that.
you want to be able to. Hang on, I'm almost there.
Okay.
And then you want to be able to switch out like your Wood Weaver's puzzle knots for the white puzzle knot.
Okay.
So now you have a puzzle knot that's making creatures, right? Um, you can also do a few other things here, there, whatever. But you could also run the guy who turns the energy, the Whirler Virtuoso,
Yeah.
running 4 of those. Like I feel like you have no problem being able to cast the red mana if
Right.
you wanted. Like you could make 4 dudes, but you have enough. I think you could sideboard into vehicles and have things like the wolf be able to power all your vehicles. You could have things like the 1/1s and play things like the copter, smuggling copter, whatever it is, and the 2/3 flyer vehicle, and you can just like you can have this combo deck. And then if they're like, okay, well, I think I have an answer for your combo deck or whatever, then you just like vomit these artifact creatures onto the board for nothing,
Right.
basically.
Side out the combo and just go aggro.
Exactly. Well, like you have several 2/2s for 2 in colors, right? Or in that are artifacts. Like you have the one that gains Death Touch,
Yeah.
who I think is good just in general. I think you have a couple other ones. Like I said, you have the bigger construct, but probably not good enough. But you have the wolf, like the 5/5. You could easily run that guy. Um,
Oh yeah, the prototype.
yeah, and then you have the Bromat Courier. It's a 1 mana haste. Whenever it attacks, exile the top card of your library, and then you can pay a red, discard your hand, and put all those cards into there. But basically, it's a 1 mana haste creature,
Right.
which may or may not be what you need, but it's a 1 mana dude. These vehicles. But then, like I said, you could easily run the white puzzle knot to make 2 dudes. Potentially, you could easily run the virtuoso to make dudes. So if you were to have, say, 8 cheap, efficient, like the copters and the other 2/3 flyer, I forget what it's called. You could easily sideboard out um, like some do nothings and have an aggressive evasion deck all of a sudden.
Right.
Just like, surprise, I'm aggro now.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
especially when they sideboard out all their removal. Because they're like, oh, you don't have any creatures. I'm going to take out all my removal. And you're like, ha ha ha. So I don't know. I have no idea. It seems like it could be really strong.
It.
The other thing to keep in mind is the fast lands, right?
Yeah.
So the fast lands allow you to do a lot of interesting splashing. So how many of the fast lands touch green? Like I know the green one does.
Right.
Is the
Uh,
red one also touch? I
no, the red one
think so,
touches
right?
white and blue.
Okay, so what's the
They do the
what's the
in
other one that touches?
so it's green and blue, and then green and black.
green and black,
Yeah.
or blue. Well, no, green is enemy color with blue, and so is red. And ally colors are blue, white, and blue, black.
Yeah. Like I said, the enemy
So if
lands
they're doing,
or the fast lanes are enemy
yeah, if
color.
they're doing enemy lands, wouldn't it be red? So wouldn't they be red?
Yeah, I said blue red and blue green.
Okay, right. But you could easily, like I said, you could easily put the red in and run the virtuoso. That's what I was asking.
Right. But then
So especially if you have all these cards that are making you energy, you could take out the gear hulks and you could put in the virtuosos, and you could pull out like a couple of chromatic prisms and put in the virtuosos, and then all of a sudden you have not necessarily like an aggressive deck, but you have the ability to stall by making all these blockers.
right.
And then you could easily save them with things like Engulf the Shore and Paradoxal Outcome.
Yeah, but see, like the deck already stalls with those two things.
With the Gear Hulk and the Prisms.
Well, no, the deck stalls with the Gear Hulk and the bounce spells. The Engulf the Shore.
Sure. I'm saying
Like,
leave a couple of those things in, but I think you want to have the ability to put in those virtuosos. If you have all this extra energy, like if you cut the prisms and you put in the virtuosos energy, you have Engulf the Shore, Paradoxal Outcome can do a little extra work for helping you get through like the weenie rush. You know, because you just have like this army of chump blockers, and even if they go kill your dude, well, I'll make go or whatever. And
right.
then you can get away with running something like a smuggler's copter or the 2/3 flyer.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. When you first sent me this list, I was like, wow, I wonder how this thing's actually going to work. And is this torrential gear hulk going to be good enough?
I cast one of the games I was playing last night. I cast 4 Engulf the Shores off of the one torrential Gear Hulk.
Well, what I was going to say is like, at least I think one of them is right and maybe two is right. Like, I feel like the more I've thought about your deck, the better I think it has gotten in my mind. Right? I think there's a couple of things that are maybe not 100% right, but it's so very close. You know what I mean? Like, I think the mana might be a little bit off.
Right.
I think maybe some of the numbers are a little bit off. It's like the filigree familiar, the foundry inspector, the trench, like all these things make total sense in this deck. And I think this is something. It could even be better than the ally version of my deck. And you're basically lock. So almost have something that's going to last for 2 years. Is that right? 18 months,
Yeah.
2 years?
Yeah.
Like, it's super close.
I think the only things that will rotate would be Engulf the Shore.
And the lands.
Right. The Engulf the Shore
And the Gaia Reach Sanitarium.
yeah, which really is just kind of like at this point it works, but it's not necessary.
Right. And I think you could, like I said, I'm going to take some look at it today. I'm going to States this weekend. I totally spaced States out. So I don't know. It sounds like it's pretty good, actually. I said some of the numbers may not be 100% right in my mind, but definitely got some interesting potential for this deck.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see how it works out. Like all these decks and any suggestions, if you beautiful listeners have some input on this deck, send it to us. 2 Trolls Brew. This before Friday, you know, because we put the podcast out on Thursdays, but the webcast goes out, you know, whenever we record it. I think think that gives us lots of time to look over and talk about. But I think this is very cool. I think that we could definitely kind of make this go. The question is, does this beat Smuggler's Copter?
Sure.
You think so?
Sure.
Everyone seems to be going completely gaga over Smuggler's Copter.
Yeah, well, it still dies to removal.
It does, but you don't have any in there.
Not yet.
You're right. I mean, I guess you could pick it up and put it back in their hand with the Engulf the Shore
Can
and the
counter
creature
it.
that they use to power it.
I can
Want
counter
to
it
be giving up slots for a counterspell?
in the sideboard.
Oh, you're running the 1 mana colorless counter?
Yeah.
Good. Gearhulks could be a problem, I guess. I know, I was going to ask if you wanted the white Gearhulk in this deck, but
Not really.
yeah, I don't think so, because it's going to wrath you super hard.
Yeah.
It's the
It would just
regular
ruin my whole
wrath the
deck.
job done. No, that only hits spells with the void, not colorless spells. I know, I'm kind of like skimming through the lands right now. Gather finally decided to work, and I was wondering if there was maybe something better that you could run in this deck instead of the Guy Reach Sanitariums. I don't know if there is. Maybe Mirror Pool. It makes a copy of
I don't.
instant or sorcery, so that really doesn't do anything. And it makes a copy of a creature. That doesn't really do anything.
Right.
I suppose you could just run like Thought Not Seers and Reality Smashers in the sideboard.
Yeah. I mean, that's.
Oh, Ruins of Oran Reef.
What's that one do?
That's the one that it enters the battlefield tapped, but it puts a 1/1 counter on a colorless creature that entered the battlefield this turn.
Alright.
So, for Boundary Inspectors, 4/3s.
Boundary
That
Inspectors are 3/2s.
Yeah, but it would come into play. It would get an extra 1/1 counter, so it'd be a 4/3.
Yeah.
Does that dodge any removal spell in particular besides the do 2 damage?
No.
It's still 3.
Yeah.
You could run Spawning Bed. 1 dudes. Again, I don't know
Right.
if you need it. Yeah, I know. We'll have to keep thinking about it. I'm just kind of scrolling through here. Westville Abbey. Dudes. But that would give you a chump blocker, I guess.
Right.
I know, it's interesting. I'd like to continue working on this, but I think just for reasons we should move on. So we kind of talked a little bit about the Pro Tour and Smuggler's Copter. I have gotten a ton of questions about Smuggler's Copter. Like, do I have extra for trade? So let's just kind of talk about Smuggler's Copter by itself for a second. It's a 2 generic mana for a 3/3 vehicle with flying. Crew 1. You may draw a card if you do discard a card.
Hmm.
So it's filtration, it's crew 1, and it's 3 power and toughness. It seems, but it also seems like something that could be shut down by a lot of stuff. It feels very easy to kill. I don't know. Apparently, it did really well at the 1 CG
SCG.
SCG. Thank you. My dyslexia is kicking in really bad. The SCG event, it did really well there. I don't think there was an SCG event last weekend. I think we had a Pro Tour or a Grand Prix, a limited Grand Prix.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it did really well this weekend anywhere or not, but it seems to be the card that everyone's going gaga over, and it looks like they're currently going for about $16 a piece.
Nice. So what you're saying
So
is
I'm just trying to figure out if it's what?
So what you're saying is
Sell
sell them
them?
now.
I don't know. I think they're gonna. I think they'll show up well or well at the Pro Tour. I mean, it does a lot of the same stuff that everything else is doing. Many ways to throw out cheap creatures to crew these things
Yeah.
that it's going to be good. I just don't know if it's going to be that so that a lot of other things are. I don't know. I'm really curious. What do you think now? Is this going to be Pro Tour, Smuggler's Copter? Like I know we talked about what
No,
decks we think will do well,
no, dice to removal.
but it dies to removal.
Yep.
What about the burn decks that are kind of floating around now?
They died to Aetherflux.
That's true too. If you can get it going fast enough, I think you're right.
Yeah, because then they'd basically with the sideboard they have to remove some burn spells in order to potentially deal with your combo pieces.
Yeah, I'm just the some of the versions I've seen, they run so many 3 mana spells, 3 mana burn spells that they're it's very interesting right now. That I've yet to see a format as diverse as this one, with the possible exceptions of the con block in such a long time. Cons was so diverse, you could do so many things. This seems like you have mid-range decks, you have control decks, you have burn decks. Like you have all these pieces that give you enough time to finish your sneeze and get it out of your system.
Yeah,
You gotta unmute yourself. There we go. Perfect.
I did mute myself. I sneezed and
So
then I was done.
okay.
Like I said, dude, I'm
I
feeling
mean,
like crap because I went up.
yeah, you got the stuff.
Well, I went up to Rushmore with my family this week, and all the stupid nature got into my sinuses and just ruins my day now.
One of those neti pots, dude.
What?
It's a little pot that you like run salt water and it washes your nose out.
That sounds awful.
It does sound really bad and it takes a little bit of time to get used to, but if it's an irritation, it fixes you right up.
No, I just deal with it.
Okay, well, that's another way to go. So we got a couple of emails, several actually. 2 of them involved the show. Other things were like asking questions about the show and stuff that I just answered. But we had our friend Nathan send us 2 deck lists here. One is Green Black Sacrifice, and one is
Altered ego.
uh, so I don't know. Which one do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about the Sacrifice deck or the Clone deck first?
Honestly, I didn't hear anything you just said because you were just like paused.
How weird. So Nathan sent us 2 decks, a Sacrifice deck and a Clone deck.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Altered Ego deck.
Okay, the Clone deck first.
No, the Altered Ego deck.
So this deck consists of Thriving Turtles, Servant of the Advocate, a Thief, Virtuoso's Gear Hulk. And then for spells,
Virtuous?
say what? Virtuous? What did I say? Virtuoso?
Yeah, you said virtuoso.
Whatever.
Yeah,
Words and shit.
Yeah.
Same thing. That's right. Then we have things like Blossoming Defense, Aether Trade Winds, Disappearing Act, Nissa, Kiora, Dual Lands, Fetch Lands, stuff like that. And the sideboard, Jolly Offshoots, Meltdowns, Nature's Way, Appetite for the Natural, like 10,000 ways to blow up your artifacts.
Right.
Counter spells, and another Gear Hulk. The Torrential?
Yep, torrential.
Is that the blue one?
Yeah.
So, So much in this deck.
That one seems way more fun, and I didn't even look at the other one, so.
Like,
Look, I saw
do we
Ultra
need
Ego and
turtles?
the Turtle, so that had me sold on this deck. Yeah.
I just,
You don't have to understand it in order to enjoy it.
that's probably true.
It is true.
So Aether
Look at
Trade
all the
Winds
people that
bounces your
listen to
thing
him
and
stuff.
their thing, right?
Yes. So you
Your
can
thing.
bounce their Chandra or whatever, and then bounce your turtle.
Okay. I'm I'm just trying to figure out how this deck works. Is what I'm trying to figure
I
out.
don't know. Just go with it.
Well, maybe you don't understand our job, Travis. Our job is to critique and help people figure out their deck and fix these brews a little bit.
No, our job is to troll people.
Oh, well then this deck is awesome. Let's move on.
Yep, next deck. Keep it like this, Nathan. It's
Next
perfect.
deck. In all seriousness, Nathan, I think you should explore the 1/1 ally haste green creature. What he's called. I think that guy's really good in this situation. You can look at that. And I think the Thriving Turtle is probably not as good as you would like it to be. And I think you're better off with the spell that goes and finds a land and makes 2 energy. I don't remember what it's called, but there you go.
You know what is better?
Green-black sacrifice deck.
Oh, you know what is better? The cat monkey.
Cat monkey!
It's both a cat and a monkey. Run 6 of them.
No, don't run 6 of them. You'll get kicked out of the tournament.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at this sacrifice deck. Duskwatch Recruiters. Yes. Syndicate Traffickers.
Maybe.
Red Buyer.
Yeah.
Okay. Filigree Familiar. Tireless Tracker. There's a card I know. Tireless Tracker.
You know the fox.
I do know the fox. Workshop Assistant.
Love
I know that one. That's the 1/2 that regrows an artifact. Aetherborn Marauder. The green Gearhulk. Gearhulk. Confront the Unknown. Love that card. Confront the Unknown, huge card. 1 Murder, 2 Ruinous Path, 3 Ovenwall Mysteries. I'm sold. Now I'm down with this deck.
All right. So, is the Marauder the 4/2 that regrows itself whenever an artifact comes into play?
Yes.
That card is awesome.
Bloodwire is the whenever something gets sacrificed, it gets a 1/1 counter.
Sure.
Duskwatch Recruiter obviously is the guy who looks through the top 3, puts a dude in your hand, or makes all your dude become. He's turned into a 3/3, makes all your dudes 1 mana cheaper.
Tireless Tracker ensures that your entire deck is a sled.
Which one's the Marauder? Oh, that's the one that comes back. The Trafficker is a different one, right? The Trafficker is the one that sacrifices an artifact and it gets a 1/1 counter and becomes indestructible. So I think what this deck is missing, and I could be wrong, and obviously if I am, Travis will tell me. This deck is missing the that draws cards with 1/1 counters on them. Half Judge.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe a couple of those.
Like 2 of them, you think?
Yeah, I think 2 would work.
I mean, you've got this weird combo with the Workshop Assistant.
Right.
But I think you want to just fill your hand with, like, oh, I played out all my stuff and work game stall. A 3/3 that draws you 4 cards. You can just take the game back over.
I mean, and if you're going to be an aggro deck with it, like, the Advocate.
It is. I think this is definitely a mid-range deck. This is definitely a mid-range deck. You're definitely trying to do something like, Wall Mystery card draw. The Tireless Tracker gives you some card draw, but you're burning your mana to do it. I think you just want something like, boom, here's my 3/3. I'm going to draw 6 cards.
Right.
Cool. Like, especially after you play a Gear Hulk, you're like, I'm going to put a counter on these dudes.
So why not 4 of the recruiters, 4 of the advocates, 4 trackers, the green Gear Hulks, and then the familiar as your main creature base. But then the rest of it just kind of works with it.
Well, what I'm trying to figure out is how we're sacrificing permanents consistently. Like, I see how we can sacrifice artifacts to the trafficker, but how are we sacrificing everything else? Like, I just don't think Bloodbuyer's enough.
Right.
Because you have a reasonable sacrifice theme, but if you take out the Bloodbuyer, then all of a sudden the judge is a little less good. Like maybe I don't know. It gets weird. Like, you have to have this balance between artifact creatures and ways to sacrifice, and just there's not enough. I think Nathan is probably off work tomorrow. I might see if I can bump into him long enough to try this deck a little bit.
Right.
But it feels like it needs something. I think like these Marauders are probably not right. I think you need another sacrifice outlet. What there is in standard right now that would do the job.
I can't think of anything.
You know what would be perfect in this deck?
Evolutionary Leap just rotated, didn't it?
Have the evolution, the Eldritch Evolution.
Oh,
that
yeah.
might be what goes in this deck.
Yeah, because then you can
like for that card.
You could sacrifice what the familiar to get the Gear Hulk.
Well, you sacrifice the familiar to get because it's 2 mana more, right?
Right. So you sacrifice this
familiar so you can get
the green Gear Hulk.
I mean, yeah, you could get the Gear Hulk or the Marauder, and the Marauder gets everything, and then you play whatever you want. Yeah, I think that's a good call.
Do it.
I think you pull out like and you run 4 Eldritch Evolution. Fixed.
Works for me.
All right, that's it. That's the show. All we have to do now is play our game.
Let's do it.
Before we get to our game, that means it's time to do samusgrobo.com for all the best episodes of the show. Send us an email at the number 2 trollsbrew@gmail.com. Twitter.com/samusgrobo, Twitter.com/turtlepower319. Of course, twitch.tv/samusgrobo or youtube.com/samusgrobo for the visual episodes. Let's look at I'm going to pull up my screen. We're going to do and Travis said, pick 3, Samus. I'm too lazy. So, number 1, Thriving Ibex. It's a goat.
Got a goat.
Very pretty. Number 2, Syndicate Trafficker.
Okay.
There's no mouth.
Which means no BJs.
No mouth means no BJs. Also means no pooper. And then you have Terror of the Fairgrounds. Coming at you, bro. All monkey hands.
All right.
So MFK, this one.
That was a pretty good one.
We wanted to use all cards from Kaladesh for these 2. We're going to play 2. And this is obviously number 1. So
let's go ahead and kill that thing.
Gonna kill the gremlin.
Kill the terror.
He's cute.
Yeah, all right. Next, go back to the syndicate.
Okay.
All right, let's see. Huh. Yeah, all right. This is a. I guess I'll go ahead and marry this thing.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh,
Guess I'll.
so your goat effer?
Guess I'll go back to the Highlands.
You know, there's Travis. Goat effer. All right, so I'm going to have a good time with the Terror of the Fairgrounds. First of all, that snout thing has got to have some serious suction. So that's got to be like the king of the blowjobs right there. Plus, it's little, so it could fit underneath my table like my table midget.
Ooh.
Also, you file down those claws a little bit,
How can you say the thing is
and like
little?
there's four
Why?
hands. What?
So how can you say
I'm
that
just saying
thing's
you file the
little?
claw
It's a 5'2".
because they're gremlins.
That's a big creature.
Gremlins are little dudes. Gremlins are little dudes. Also, you file the claws off a little bit. It can jiggle your balls and finger your butthole, all while giving you a blowjob.
All right. All right.
So I'm gonna. This is gonna be my fun time guy. Um, I'm never gonna have sex with a goat, so we're gonna kill that goat and eat it. End of story. Which means I'm gonna marry this poor individual who has a very short lifespan, and I'm gonna get lots and lots of life insurance.
Well, at least we both married the same thing.
That's right. Very sexy. Very, very pretty.
Ooh, we're sister wives.
Okay, ready for number 3?
Yeah.
All right, ready for number 2?
Yeah, sure.
Weldfath Wingsmith.
All right.
Whisper Weaver Angel.
Uh-huh.
And Giant Spectacle.
All right. Well, I'm definitely not going to fuck that.
Oh, remember when this show was PG-13?
Yeah, yeah. We still got one more bomb before we can.
Man, it took us less than a year. Okay.
So I'm gonna kill this thing.
Aww.
Yeah, yeah. It's fine. Obesity is already rampant in this country, so let's just go ahead and get rid of that. Just close out of it. That's fine.
Okay.
I
So
think
then
I'm
you
gonna
have 2 winged things.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have sex with the angel. Cause I mean,
Okay.
now we're gonna make it a rated R show. It's gonna be a holy fuck.
Well, hang on. Okay. That means you're marrying this wingsmith.
Yeah, gay marriage is legal. It's cool.
Looks like he brings home the dollar bills, yo.
Hell yeah! And if anything else, he just flies.
That's true. Fly away. Think about how easy it'll be if he gets annoying. You just like loosen a bolt on one feather, and then he like slams into the building.
Yep. This is for not making me tuna.
So I think I'm going to agree with you 1,000% on this lineup. I think the fact that this angel has got 4 arms is the exact same argument. Have to do any filing first.
Plus, you got that nice little pun.
That's true. There's a sweet pun there. Like, I don't really want to be married to the giant spectacle. I feel like regardless of what I do, if I marry the winged dude or the giant, he's going to be a huge spectacle. So I'd rather them have the opportunity to put their wings away. So, yeah, you're 100% right on this one, Travis. Good job, buddy.
Sweet. We did it.
We did it. And this is episode 52. We made it 1 year. Pat on our backs. I can't believe it. since we started, I really thought we were going to struggle with a weekly podcast, the two of us. But I knew that we'd be able to have a good time. Like, even if no one watched, entertain ourselves, I think. But people like the show. It's doing well. So thank you, everybody. We deeply appreciate your support. And we hope to continue to do this for many more years to come, I think. Right, Travis?
Yeah, what's on your screen? Or what's covering the camera lens?
Which? Nothing?
No, there's a good portion. Well, not a good portion, but there's something on your lens. Is there something in front of it?
Oh. It's up against the other monitor.
Huh, perfect.
Monitor over here.
That's what it was.
Okay.
Good thing it only took me till the end of the show to find that out.
I mean, all we had to do was ask, and why would we do that?
Right.
Can it something bother us and nag at us for the entire show?
Yeah, well, and then they get to find out at the very end.
All right. Well, sign us off, Travis. Happy 1 year anniversary, buddy.
Thanks, man. You too.
Yeah. One more time with your troll on.
Troll on, everybody. Goodbye, everybody.
Peace.
Bye. 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 Bye.